Hello, everybody. Before we get into the video, just a quick note. I apologize for the grid lines that you'll see on the video. New computer, settings weren't all toggled off, and I literally thought it was a part of the UI of the app that I was using to record, not baked into my footage. So, I apologize. Please ignore the lines. Thankfully, with the video that shrinks down in the corner, it shouldn't be too obvious or too annoying. But with that apology out of the way, onto the video. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I have another video game library / collection update in Obsidian. With bases, a lot of things have come out since 2 months ago, and I'm really excited about this project, and so I want to share it with you. A little refresher. Last time, I introduced you to my bases functionality here and how I was using Obsidian to track my collection, both sharing what you guys would see online, like here, this would be a public-facing site, versus what I see inside my personal Obsidian vault. And that was fun and good. We ended up with a view that kind of looked like this in bases, minus the images, little tease of what is in store, but we kind of ended up with this table where I could track different things, states of when I bought them, how much I paid for them, the state or condition that I have them in, and then link to those various games and notes and details with things like my save data, how I bought them, memories, related posts on the site, so on and so forth. So what's changed? What has happened since the video 2 months ago? The answer is we've brought in quite a few new game consoles and libraries from the NES, N64, all of the Game Boy line, the Apple II / Apple II GS, and the 3DO are all here. You know, you gotta have a page for Way of the Warrior. You know what I'm saying? I have added some new properties to help filter and sort some things out. I have added format, both physical or digital, because some games I own multiple copies of, and if I own them physical and digitally, I want to be able to tell at a glance which one that might be, and it also opens up the pathway for bringing in digital games as well, instead of just focusing on my physical. For example, I have the Castlevania Advance Collection, which has Circle of the Moon digitally, so on Switch, and I have it physically on PS4, but then I also have the Game Boy Advance cartridge. So we brought that in. I've brought in this CSS classes just for some image handling on the site. And then a new art property, which is going to be vital for the new card view, which is very exciting. And we're going to get to in just a moment. But first, some smaller things. One particular interesting thing about, I think, most avid game collectors is they might have a few regional versions of their games, and in my case I own a few Japanese games, how would you say this? Gyukiten Saiban 3? Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trials and Tribulations. And so how I am handling that, instead of putting the name of the game in twice and maybe putting like in parentheses JPN or something, I'm putting in the name of the game spelled in not English, but you know what I'm saying. Letters that I understand, not in kanji or katakana. I am putting that as an alias in case, for whatever reason, I do have that in the vault. And also, it's just like a good quick reference. I have it there. And then I'll be bringing in the Japanese art where relevant and different things like that. This gets a little bit more interesting with games that I have multiple copies of, like this is supposed to be Wind Waker, or not supposed to be, it is Wind Waker. I own that physically Japanese. I own the NTSC version on GameCube, and then the HD version as well. And so I'm just bringing this in as best I can, but to help differentiate it in the collection and in the view. So it's going to be fun, interesting to do as well, and look up and understand all of these things. So I have a few GameCube Japanese games. I have Ace Attorney, and Metroid Dread in Japanese. Some more Phoenix Wright games on Switch. Here and there. I am starting to see the fruits of potentially linking to daily notes. So like I mentioned last time, I write in my daily note, if I played something that day, I write it down. And recently, I was playing the Metroid Prime trilogy to beat Metroid Prime 3 Corruption before 4 Beyond comes out. And we could see here that I could go ahead and link to the Metroid Prime trilogy. And so while this wouldn't be reflected on the site for all of you, internally in my vault, I can see roughly when did I last play this game. As long as I'm doing the daily note habit, then I can just, I was playing this game the end of June and early July of 2025. So that's a good reference of like a reminder of the last time I played the game. So that's kind of fun. I am also starting to be able to integrate my game notes practice. So with Pokemon Leaf Green, I was able to dig up my podcast notes that followed this format but were not mind mapped, and I made the mind map, and then I'm able to bring those in. So that's actually updated and reflected on the site now. You can go read this. But then if you click on Pokemon Leaf Green, you could click on my notes and see them in there. So we're seeing that interlinking and the ability for me to fully explore and connect my vault and thoughts on the games. Now, the moment you've all been waiting for, and I was waiting for basically as soon as Bases was announced and they mentioned the card view, which I find just so satisfying to look at. Oh my goodness. So this is why we added the art property. I was already bringing in the art files, right, for the front and the back of the box. And this allows me, I just link to that file and they can be pulled up in the card view. I can change things like the size of the cards. So I don't know, we're probably there. What the property is, if I want to contain it or cover it. So contain it will always make it fit, which is good for, different aspect ratios. Like if we look at these GameCube games and the N64 stuff, this is a full art view that I can do here in this view. And oh my goodness, I just love it. This is why I wanted the box art in here. It just looks, I think it looks so good and so nice. It's also so you can see some other Japanese games. Like I don't have the Japanese art in for these, but I brought these entries in. So you can see kind of like where I'm roughly at because I'm adding the art as I go. So that's kind of fun. You can obviously add and filter these however you want, show whatever properties. Right now I just show kind of a generic who developed it, the publisher, the console, and the release date, but I could tailor that to show when did I last play it or what did I pay for it, things like that. So that's really, really fun. I think the card view has immense value, especially for a media-focused base like this, where you could do this with books, with movies, music, so on and so forth, whatever you really wanted to, and the images will come through and just kind of bring the base to life. And so I was actually able to, like you saw a little earlier, use a formula. What is the formula? It's just image, and then the name of the property, which I called art. So that's pulling that in, and it brings that to the table view as well, which is pretty nice. But I don't know. I don't think you can beat this, man. It looks good. And, I can come in here and see where we're at. But I think this is a very slick, cool presentation. So I definitely would encourage anyone to bring in the image. I believe you can use like an externally linked URL. So if you trusted a source, so I could probably, for example, pull the Wikipedia image for Wind Waker in and use that. If you didn't want to host these files locally, you could probably tap into some sort of API or something as well if you were a developer and paid for that. So it doesn't have to be hosted locally. You could also do colors, like hexadecimal code values and things like that. So I think there's a lot of options here, and the card view is pretty slick. So I've thought of some other implementations as well, like a backlog to show games based off the have I played them or not beaten them. So like Super Mario Brothers Advance 4, I've played it, but I didn't beat it as a kid. And so this could be a good example and show when I last beat it or updated it. Here's a really good one. Metroid Fusion, I have under 3 hours in that game. I haven't beaten it yet. But this could show me like how close I am to beating a game or if I haven't even tried it at all. So this could be a good system for updating and showing like, oh, what should I play next? Well, maybe let's clean out the backlog a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I also had this idea. Now, this is contingent on the base's publish support, which is on the roadmap. But basically, when you go to the site, you go to the library, like, you can only view the consoles. It's a folder with the games in it, but there's no hub page for the consoles themselves. But by leveraging the fact that bases can be linked, just like anything else, and different views can be linked like a heading in a vault, I could make a view within the base just for my N64 games. And then this could be a hub page on the site for all N64 stuff in Max's collection. Then you, as the user, could have a visual interface for interacting with it instead of a list. But this could also then be similar to the way that this is a page for all of my information about Super Mario 64. This could be a page all about my Nintendo 64. This could be source how I got the console, how many consoles I have, if I have duplicates of, which are a few, the stories behind those, hardware, accessories, documentation. I have so many GameCube accessories alone. So this could be like a hub for the console, and then from that, you could then go explore the games and its entries. And this could all be leveraged by just using different views within the base that then have their own properties and filtration that are tailored to that view. So while this all exists in this one base file, the backlog, this N64 example that I've been toying with, by using the pound sign, basically treating that view like a heading, now this can be embedded in the page and be explorable. Now, the catch is there's no publish support yet, and I really would like that. I know it's on the roadmap. I would like it to be a high-ish priority in the roadmap, because that would change a lot of the ways that I'm using bases, both personally and professionally, and that would be super great. Another kind of idea I had was some games I've written a lot about. So this is Wind Waker. This is the NTSC version of Wind Waker. It's not a complete entry yet, but some posts, like related posts, are quite extensive. And so I was thinking of maybe this could be another use case for an embedded base, using like a formula that looks at this file, so then it would just refer to the file that's embedded in. And maybe I could find all the backlinks to it. So then it's a list that updates dynamically as I'm writing and linking back to this note about Wind Waker, where then I don't have to come back here and manually update this list. Now, replacing this and all of the notes that I've written, again, contingent on publish support, but I don't think the lift would be too hard to go back and replace this list with a bases list that pulls in all published articles. I think that's something that could be done, and it would save me a lot of work in the future whenever I write about this stuff again. So that would be pretty fun to do. Here's the classic Zelda debate in EGM. Good time. A lot of big names in there. So that's kind of where I'm at. I am digging it, exploring it. As you can see, I'm in the middle of my GameCube collection. If we go to the cards here, not in the middle, I'm like in the first third of my GameCube collection, in Zelda land predominantly right now. What do I got? Twilight Princess, so I gotta get 4 swords in there. There's the collection, and yep. So after that, then I'll move out of the Zelda GameCube land and into some other stuff. So very exciting. I'm loving how this is all coming together, and I really can't wait to get this type of view into your hands on the site. I am curious, other Obsidian users out there, or people who catalog and care about their game collections, what maybe you all think, how you are all feeling, if you have any ideas or suggestions of how I could streamline this, other categories, things to add. I don't know. I'm open to considerations. You could throw those down in the comments, but I'm really enjoying this. The card view really makes this type of database sing, and I love it so much. I would love to actually So what's interesting is I think this is right now being sorted by the console, which is why you see something like the 3DO up first, and then by its release date. But the Game Boy, but then it's Game Boy Advance and then Game Boy Color. And obviously Game Boy Color came out first. I'm trying to figure out a way to organize this by, like, I guess I would have to make a property, right? Like console date, console release date, maybe. I don't know. Do you have a suggestion? That would be very helpful. Might be something I need to investigate a bit more thoroughly. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, adios.